Hi everyone, how has been your week? If you're just listening for the first time, this is Random Talks with NG, where we talk about anything and everything. I am your host, Ngozi Obiefuna. Before I proceed, I would love to say thank you to all those who sent in their comments, left a comment on the previous episode, Failure. I was amazed at how relatable it was for most of you and how you also shared your own experiences with failure and how you dealt with them subsequently. Now, have you ever found yourself clinging to a grudge, replaying an awkward moment in your head, or holding on to that overflowing box of maybe one day clothes in the back of your closet? Today, I would love to talk about a topic that can feel incredibly difficult: the magic of letting go. When I reflected on this topic a few days ago, I thought to myself how sometimes we find it difficult to let go of some things or some people because we already have their memories, the memories of those items, of those persons engraved in our hearts or in our minds, as the case may be. But I'm here to tell you that letting go isn't about erasing the past or pretending things didn't happen. It's all about creating space for something better. Letting go isn't always easy, but it's often necessary for our growth and our well being. I know people who have said they have to let go of these items for their sanity, they have to let go of these people for their growth, for their personal growth and development. And so I also know that whether it's releasing past hurts, saying goodbye to toxic relationships, or simply relinquishing control over things we can't change, the process of letting go can lead to profound transformations in our lives. I remember sometimes during the summer break, my mom would say, "Oh, yeah, get your bags out and then let us sort the old clothes from the new ones, the ones that you have outgrown, the ones that I need to give out, the ones that do not look presentable anymore." And then sometimes I find myself saying, "No, no, no, I can't let go of this one. This is my favorite. I can't let go of it, even if it's faded or even if it needs to be discarded or trashed, as the case may be." And then I realized while reflecting on this topic a few days ago that sometimes it could be because of the attachment or because of the memories that we have while being with those people, while having those items, the memories that those things bring to us. The memories that those things, the memories that they recreate in our minds. That is why we find it difficult sometimes to let go. Deborah Reber said that letting go doesn't mean that you don't care about someone anymore. It's just realizing that the only person you really have control over is yourself. So you may be wondering and you may be asking yourself, how do I actually let go? Because I have found people say that I really want to get this thought out of my mind, but I can't seem to let go of this memory. I really want to stop doing this particular habit. I really want to stop practicing this particular habit. I really want to stop thinking about this particular person, but I really cannot get it out of my mind. I'm going to share some steps to take in letting go. Well, here are a few steps to get you started. The first is to acknowledge your feelings. You need to acknowledge what you're holding on to. You don't need to lie to yourself. You can lie to others, but you cannot lie to yourself. You need to think, reflect, meditate. Is it anger? Is it sadness that I'm feeling? Is it regret that I'm feeling? And then, if you are looking for an healthy outlet, you can try writing it down. You can try talking to a friend. You can seek professional help if it is really extreme. Or you can find an alternative healthy outlet for your emotions. Taking that bold step of acknowledging your feelings would help you towards transforming whatever pain or anger or sadness that you are feeling at the moment, and it would help you into releasing that emotion and getting ready for the healing that comes through magically letting go of whatever you feel at the moment. Identify what you're holding on to. Is it a grudge that is weighing you down? It would interest you to know that some people hold on to grudges for as long as 20, 30, 40 years. They've sworn an oath to themselves that they are not going to forgive, that they are going to hold on to that grudge and they're going to hand it down to their children and to generations yet unborn. Identify whatever it is you're holding on to. Is it the fear of the unknown? This is something that most of us are guilty of because we're thinking to ourselves that if I leave this environment, if I leave this job, how am I going to fare? Will I survive when I'm thrown into the jungle? Will I survive? Will I have the same comfort that I have in this job? Will I have the same mental stability? Would I have the same peace that I experience when I move on to a new climb, when I move on to a new job? Or you're maybe thinking that, and this is something that is really considered by most people who wish to relocate because they are thinking to themselves, how would they survive? With regards to the fear of the unknown, they are thinking to themselves, if I leave this area and move to another state, if I leave this area and move to another country, am I really going to survive? All the popularity that I have built, all the fame and wealth that I have amassed in this area, and I'm going to another place, another climb to start afresh, am I really going to survive? And that is why we need to identify if it is the fear of the unknown, or perhaps it's the need for approval from others. You find yourself always seeking validation from other people. And so, even when you have your thoughts, your ideas to yourself, you just need approval or you're just seeking validation from others. Whatever it may be, pinpointing the root cause of your attachment is highly essential in the process of magically letting go of whatever it is that you feel at the moment. The next is to forgive yourself and or others. Once you do not let go of that unforgiveness, it takes up a huge chunk, a huge space in your heart. And you find yourself bearing unnecessary weights that you should not be carrying at that moment. Because sometimes the people who offend you really do not know that they have offended you. To them, it may not be like an offense. To them, they may just be acting normally, but then you would feel offended, forgetting that we are all from different backgrounds and different families. And so you need to forgive yourself and others. I remember one time someone had offended me. I really thought that I had forgiven the person or even forgotten about it. Interestingly, when people ask me about the incident, I say, oh, that's fine. We've moved past that. I mean, I've forgiven the person and then we move. And then one Wednesday evening, as I sat in church, the priest was preaching about forgiveness. And then he brought up this talk about you need to search your heart. Is there really someone that you need to forgive? You've grown resentment towards the person, but you're still lying to yourself that you have forgiven the person. Meanwhile, in reality, you really have not. You have not really forgiven that person. And so we began to pray. I was just praying normally, and then the next thing the priest said was, set your heart of hearts. And in my head, I was thinking, well, there is nobody at that moment that I could think of. My eyes were closed. I was just praying normally, and then that name popped up in my head. This thing happened about 10 years ago, but I remember it like it happened just yesterday. And the name popped up in my head, and I was wondering to myself, like, why is this name popping up now? It's not like I bear any grudge. So, and the next thing that came to my mind was mention this person's name and tell the person that you forgive the person. I was really battling with myself. I found it difficult to mention this person's name. And I was thinking to myself, like, it should not be this hard. For every single time I tried to mention it, even in my mind or even out loud, mention it out loud, I struggled with mentioning the name. And by the time I mentioned the person's name and I said, I forgive you, and oh, I wept like a child. And then I discovered much later that I just felt as though I had forgiven the person merely because I had said it by word of mouth. Holding on to grudges is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. Forgiveness does not mean condoning someone's actions. It means releasing the negativity and choosing to move on. You need to remember that sometimes you have to forgive yourself too for past mistakes or choices. I was having a conversation with a friend of mine one time, and then she just mentioned someone and said, I can never forgive that person. And I asked her, why do you bear so much resentment in your heart? I mean, the space in your heart that you're using to bear such grudges, you can use it to fill your heart and mind with much more lovely stuff. And then she went on to explain what had happened, and she was really bitter about it. And interestingly, the person had approached her 2 weeks prior, asking and seeking for forgiveness for something that had happened about 5 months earlier or so. And she said she told the person that she had forgiven the person and life has moved on, or in her words, we move. But you're telling me that you can never forgive that person and you're bearing that grudge and unforgiveness in your heart. You need to forgive yourself sometimes for choosing the people you chose. You need to forgive yourself sometimes for making some decisions which you have regretted. You need to forgive yourself so that you can be able to embrace the new things that are coming to you. As it's popularly said, out with the old and in comes the new. You need to let go of that thing, that detachment you have with someone or something, such that you're able to breathe fresh air and receive fresh things and new perspective into your life. Another thing you can do is to practice gratitude. I would never stop emphasizing on the need to practice gratitude. You can either journal what you're thankful for, how you feel, everything. Just practice gratitude. You don't necessarily need to pick up a megaphone and shout it out loud. You can actually sit and reflect. Think about the little things that you are really grateful for. Shift your focus from what you are losing to what you have. You need to take time each day to appreciate the good things in your life, no matter how small. And a grateful heart has less room for negativity. Think about it. If you wake up in the morning or while you are going through all the problems in life, and then you now remember the fact that you are alive, it's something that you need to be grateful for. The fact that you have peace, the fact that you have your senses intact is something to be grateful for. I know that there is this common saying that if everyone should place their problems on the table, you would find yourself picking your own problems because you would see that your neighbor has much more problems than you do. And so find time to always be grateful for the things you currently have, for the people you currently have in your life. There's this beautiful frame that my brother gifted me recently. It is Carpe Diem. And what Carpe Diem means is seize the day. Seize the day. It's such a beautiful frame because whenever I look at it, I think to myself, yes, I am busy planning my future, working towards my future, but then I cannot be so focused on the future that I forget to take time to be grateful for the things that I currently have. You are living in you are living in someone's answered prayers, whether you like it or not. You've moved from a self-con to a mini flat, and you're complaining that the space is now too small. While you are looking for a bigger space, still be grateful because some people live under bridges and they have no place to call home. Make gratitude an attitude. It is something you should always exhibit in your life. You may be complaining about that terrible job, that really busy, stressful job you have, but think about those who are really wishing that they could be stressing themselves out over that same job that you have. And so, even while you try to lament and rant about how stressful work has been, take some time out to practice gratitude for the job that you currently have. You may be complaining that it is actually too lonely ever since you relocated to a saner climb, but then be grateful for the fact that you even had the funds to be able to relocate. I remember my very first podcast on Random Talks with Angie was on gratitude. And so I encourage you to go back to listen to that particular episode on gratitude and soak yourself in the things that you should and you need to be grateful for. One of the steps you can also take is to accept what you can't control. Sometimes there are some things beyond your control. You need to accept that fact that it is beyond your control. Not everything in life is within our control. Sometimes the best we can do is to accept the situation and focus on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions. You really cannot control how someone perceives you or how someone treats you, but you can actually control your reaction to whatever reaction or treatment you get from such person or people. Now, I would like you to picture a caterpillar inside its cocoon, undergoing a transformative process before emerging as a beautiful butterfly. In order to spread its wings and soar, it must let go of its old identity as a caterpillar. Now, what does that tell us? Let's explore the benefits, the beautiful, amazing benefits of letting go. First and foremost, it frees up space in your heart and mind for new experiences and opportunities. Because by releasing what no longer serves you, you create room for growth, joy, and abundance to flow in your life. Think about it. You step into your room, you look at your wardrobe, and then you find six big boxes, and you keep telling yourself, I have clothes, I have clothes, I have clothes. And then you have an interview, and then you search through your boxes, and you find out that you do not even have one presentable outfit for that interview or for that event. Think about it. When you let go, when you discard those clothes that no longer serve you, give out to those who really need it. The fact that it no longer serves you does not mean it doesn't serve someone else. I know I had a friend who told me that someone approached her and said, Ma, could you please help me with some clothes for school? I really do not have cash right now. My parents really do not have cash. And then my friend said, okay, that's fine, that she would see what she can do. I kid you not, that day we were together, and out of the six boxes, she let go of four boxes of clothes because she realized that she really had not worn most of those clothes in like 3 months and beyond. I remember someone, I can't remember who actually said it, but I remember someone telling me that if you've had clothes in your boxes you've not worn for about 3 months or 6 months or max 6 months, then those clothes do not belong to you. Because definitely somehow you'd have worn them to events or worn them somewhere. If you have clothes that you have not worn for 3 5 years, please let go, out with the old and in comes the new. Because you'll find out that by the time you let go of those clothes, you'd have need to purchase more. That is if you have need for it, right? Steve Maraboli quoted that letting go means to come to the realization that some people are a part of your history but not a part of your destiny. You know how they say some people are just like lessons, right? Experiences. Not everyone you were talking to since you were a kid is in your life at this point in time. Apart from your family and a few friends whose bond has grown and waxed beyond mere friendship and they've become like family to you, not everyone who comes into your life at a particular time is meant to stay. Some are just coming into your life to walk through it, to teach you lessons. Some are there to give you beautiful memories. Some are there to give you painful memories. You can't deny that fact. And so you need to come to that realization that some people are a part of your history. They were meant to be there at that particular time. In the next stage of your life, they are necessarily not meant to be a part of the next phase of your life. And so you need to get ready to what? Say goodbye and let go. Letting go also fosters inner peace and contentment. When you release the need to control every outcome and surrender to the flow of life, you would find a sense of serenity that transcends external circumstances. Truly speaking, you need to let go of the resentful thoughts you might have towards your bosses, towards your jobs, because when you let go, there is this form of personal growth that occurs because it allows you to learn from your experiences, both positive and negative, and then you're able to move forward as a stronger, more resilient person. It opens you up to new opportunities because when you're not bogged down by the past, you're free to embrace new experiences and opportunities. Now, letting go cultivates resilience and strength. You may have been hurt badly, you may have been betrayed, friendship betrayals, relationship betrayals. You may have found yourself not getting the job you hoped for after you got the assurance that you would get the job. Sometimes maybe a situation whereby an offer letter has been extended to you, but sadly, along the line, something comes up and then they take it back, and then you feel so bad because you really hoped on that job and you felt like, okay, you had come to your final bus stop. By letting go of that hurt, of that pain, of that betrayal, of that disappointment, you're able to cultivate resilience and strength. It is a testament to your courage and resilience to face life's challenges head on and emerge stronger than before. Remember, every setback is an opportunity for growth. There was a time in my life when I was really stubborn with regards to letting go. Someone would give me feedback and I would not take it lightly. I would say to myself and to the person that no, I do not agree with what you have said. And then I would begin to even resent the individual for giving me that honest feedback. In the process of letting go, I realized that whatever feedback I was given, whether positive or negative, it was to help me grow. And so what I did was to welcome each feedback, think about it, think about the ones that were true, the ones that were just as a result of their perception of who I was or who they thought I was. I let it go, but I filtered it, I listened to it, and then I found myself growing and embracing new opportunities just by that singular act of letting go of whatever resentful thoughts I had towards the person providing the feedback. I truly hope that I have inspired you in this conversation we just had on the magic of letting go. I hope you've also drawn from its profound benefits. As always, I would love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Do well to leave a comment, share with those who you would love to listen to this episode as well. And do not hesitate to reach out to me on social media or drop me a message and I'll definitely reach out to you. Don't forget, I am Ngozi Obiefuna, your host on Random Talks with NG. Until next time, take care and remember that sometimes the best thing we can do is to simply let go.